Okay. Work as flow. Autotelic workers. Autotelic workers. 146 When Serafina was asked what she enjoys doing most in life, she had no trouble answering: milking the cows, taking them to the pasture, burning the orchard, cutting wool. In fact, what she enjoys most is what she has been doing for a living all along. In her own words, it gives me a great satisfaction to be outdoors, to talk with people, to be with my animals. I talk to everybody: plants, birds, flowers, and animals. Everything in nature keeps you company. You see nature progress every day. You feel clean and happy. Too bad that you get tired and have to go home. Even when you have to work a lot, it is very beautiful. Most of their children, who were also interviewed, expressed the same attitude toward life. However, among the grandchildren aged between 20 and 33 years, most more typical attitudes toward work prevailed. Given the chance, they would have worked less and spent more time instead of in leisure, reading, sports, traveling, seeing the latest shows. Partly, this difference between the generations is a matter of age. Young people are usually less contented with their lot, more eager for change, and more intolerant of the constraints of routine. But in this case, the divergence also reflects the erosion of a traditional way of life in which work was meaningfully related to people's identities and to their ultimate goals. Some of the young people of Ponchenta's might, in their own age, come to feel about their work as Serafina does. Probably the majority will not. Instead, they will keep widening the gap between the jobs that are necessary but unpleasant and leisure pursuits that are enjoyable but have little complexity. One In other words, the mystical heights of the you are not attained by some superhuman quantum jump, but simply by the gradual focusing of attention on the opportunities for action in one's environment, which results in a perfection of skills that will time become so thoroughly automatic as to seem spontaneous and otherworldly. The performances of a great violinists or great mathematicians seem equally uncanny, even though they can be explained by the incremental honing of challenges and skills. In my interpretation is true in the flow experience you East and West meet. In both cultures, ecstasy arises from the same sources. Lord Wen Hu's cook is an excellent example of how one can find flow in the most unlikely places, in the most humble jobs of daily life. And it is also remarkable that over 23 centuries ago, the dynamics of this experience were already so well known. The old woman who farms in the Alps, the welder in South Chicago, and the mythical cook from ancient China have this in common. Their work is hard and unglamorous, and most people would find it boring, repetitive, and meaningless. Yet these individuals transformed the jobs they had to do into complex activities. They did this by recognizing opportunities for action where others did not, by developing skills, by focusing on the activity at hand, and allowing themselves to be lost in the interaction so that their selves could emerge stronger afterward. Thus transformed, work becomes enjoyable, and as the result of a personal investment of psychic energy, it feels as if it was freely chosen as well. Autotelic jobs. The sooner we realize that the quality of the work experience can be transformed at will, the sooner we can improve this enormously important dimension of life. At the same time, it would be erroneous to expect that if all jobs were constructed like games, everyone would enjoy them. Even the most favorable Favorable external conditions do not guarantee that a person will be in flow because optimal experience depends on a subjective evaluation of what the possibilities for action are and of one's own capacities. It happens quite often that an individual will be discontented even with a potentially great job. The way surgery is practiced helps block out distractions and concentrates all one's attention on the procedure. The operating theater is indeed like a stage with spotlights illuminating the action and the actors. Before an operation, surgeons go through steps of preparation, purification, and dressing up in special garments like athletes before a contest or priests before a ceremony. These rituals have a practical purpose, but they also serve to separate celebrants from the concerns of everyday life and focus their minds on the event to be enacted. Some surgeons say that on the mornings before an important operation, they put themselves on automatic pilot by eating the same breakfast, wearing the same clothes, and driving to the hospital by the same route. They do so not because they are superstitious, but because they sense that this habitual behavior makes it easier for them to devote their undivided attention to the challenge ahead. To improve the quality of life through work, two complementary strategies are necessary. On the one hand, jobs should be redesigned so that they resemble as closely as possible flow activities as do hunting, cottage weaving, and surgery. But it will also be necessary to help people develop autotelic personalities like those of Serafini, Joe, and Ting by training them to recognize opportunities for action, to hone their skills, to set reachable goals. Neither one of these strategies is likely to make work much more enjoyable by itself. In combination, they should contribute enormously to optimal experience.